your adventure.
Oh, well, there goes the Mantis. And there goes the Loki coming on through. So yeah, Rad very much going after the res composition as well as that Ultron from Sentinels. Do they now try and start target banning out Crimzo's hero pool? It's Rad securing the Mantis themselves. This is smart, because Sentinels now have a crossroads. Do they go Ultron or do they go Adam? There's two compositions this Mantis could potentially embolden, and that means two potential bans that they have to burn.
All right, Loki going to be the first protect here for Sentinels, allowing for a huge amount of throughput. We haven't seen a huge amount of Loki so far between the teams we've casted, but of course it did show up yesterday. Cloak and Dagger going to be banned away as well. And Lunar Snow. Oh boy, Rad are doing their patented absolutely decimator roll.
Well, Sentinels, how well can we run Rocket Raccoon at this rate? Adam Warlock is indeed removed from the side of Rad. Ultron is still up in the air, quite literally, if Rad have anything to say about it. But someone who's not going to be aerial for long is Human Torch. Sentinels are not going to have access to that flyer. Ooh, Rad get one-sided Luna and one-sided Mantis. That is a lot of good angle control.
All right, Adam Warlock off the table right here. Invisible Woman, not going to be able to get quite as much value without those team-ups of things like the Human Torch. Jean Grey might be banned away now. Cal certainly has inspired just what the Jean Grey can do. Marvel Rivals' newest hero for about, I don't know, 30 more hours.
I wonder too the fact that Sentinels are going for this Invis Woman save. If they do think that Rad are going to run something like a Jeff, then Guardian Shield being up to just help out a flyer could be absolutely huge, especially if it's an Ultron. Because like Joyful Splash, one of the things that they really changed about Jeff, one huge thing that they changed about Jeff, is that Joyful Splash now damages enemies as well as healing allies. So when we actually got to see Rad use Fate on that Jeff originally, it was used to put pressure onto flyers. And now that Ultron is in the game, surprise, surprise, whenever we look at Fate's POV and he's playing the Jeff from yesterday, he's really pressuring the Ultrons.
Okay, North America versus EMEA. Once more we head into the ring that has echoed with the cries of anguish as long as esports has been a thing, Mox. Here we are on Hydra Base.
Oh, I see a Jeff.
It's real.
I see a Jeff on the side of Rad Esports.
Just for rollout though? Maybe they're going to do one of those.
Yeah, it is there on the side. Well, it's not there on the side of Sentinels. And no, it is out. We are there. Fate is going to be on the Jeff, Melio on the Ultron, and trust me, on the Venom. So same composition. And now for Sentinels, they have to win this first fight, because if they don't, Rad have all of the mobility to keep that point in play for a good 60%.
My goodness, it's such an annoying comp. Everyone is basically so able to escape from any of this. Next is going to be picking up the Psylocke here. Fully mutant damage line coming through from Sentinels. Going to be a little bit of damage. Ultimately picked up by Rajaro here. I believe his brothers in the crowd brought themselves all the way here to Guangzhou to make sure they could cheer on their brother. Apparently they're the biggest fan, and I'm inclined to believe them. Trust me, already using the cellular corrosion to start sieging this backline, and Nectar falls first.
Oh, Melio's almost got a Rage of Ultron too to cement Rad's take of this first point. Like you said, Nectar already down means that the Flyers don't have that Psylocke to pressure them, and they can get a little bit more aggressive, especially since Aramori's already down. And this is just Rad cleaning up house now.
Oh, a little bit of a choke there from Naga, and Crimzo's quick to punish with the iron volleys. They're amazing just on the exit here. Going to try and grab some sparks. A lot of damage coming through from Rajaro. Sentinel strike at range is going to be able to keep that one going for a while longer. Fate actually dropped off a couple of bubbles at the spawn to allow for quicker respawns for those who walk back.
Yeah, Fate also used those bubbles to try and get Rad a little bit of a safer disengage, but now we get to see the point bounce. Great force physics comes on through from Karova, nabbing Trust Me before he can restabilize with his team, but Rad is still holding on to this point for a little bit longer. They have not yet given it up all the way until just now, 25%, and they've got the ultimates to be able to open up this fight with that Rage of Ultron, forcing Sentinel's hand.
Yeah, maybe Karova will have to be the one to answer that, or Crimzo can do the same. Well, Crimzo can do the same, but let's talk about how Meteor M stacks up against Rage of Ultron. It can fill up that meter real fast and burst the big magnetic meter ball, and maybe that would be him mumming his last meal.
True, that spaghetti can end up all on the ground, but it can also buy your team the space to just disengage all the way back to point, as we do have to talk about the fact that, unfortunately, because of all of the strategist targeted bans, Sentinels have ended up on the Invis Woman, and one of the things about invis boundary is that it is static. So you have to have the golden
Yes.
rule of thumb. Part of that strategist ultimate, at least some part of it, has to be on the objective. You can't have it forced before you're holding on to the space that you actually need to control on domination.
And you can force them out of it by using It's Jeff.
Yes, this is true. If everybody is playing inside that invis boundary, it is just a big old target for It's Jeff. As it used to be Namor, actually. Horn of Proteus used to be the go-to counter. And then, obviously, as well, Last Stand from good old Wolverine.
Great way to flush them out. And, of course, the false movement from Last Stand. Just removing players from that static emplacement is super easy. One of the things that we are going to be looking for here is actually the shifting of the frozen airfield into this backwards position to open up that doorway, which allows for the environmental frags from It's Jeff.
Yes, and if you want to know when that map is going to be changing, it's when it's 50%. 50% total. So if one team's got 25% and the other team's got 25%, you add that up, you get 50%. That's when the map is going to be moving. So that is going to be occurring very, very shortly. As we can see that Sentinels are going to be keeping an eye on all of the potential off angles to make sure that Rad don't just get to take full control of the space and pinch them onto the point.
Right, amazing. Taxing this approach very thoroughly. Trust me, for now, looking for an opening. He's just going to be doing some homework here on the Loki. Quick dodge away coming through from Nectar. Sarlacc feeling the pressure. As
that's off point! Oh, the map's moving.
Yeah, the map is moving.
Gone.
He's going to take the invisible boundary with it, and that means that Fate's going to have quite the opening later on. That's why Nectar's going to be trying to follow on through after this. It's going to be Trust Me opens up first, though. It's Jeff up ahead. I'm not entirely sure. I think they may have actually just been crashed down upon by two ultimates. The Meteor M and the Phoenix both confide in the Shark, turned them into finned soup. Nectar now looking for a place to try and use their ultimate, and it's perfectly managed. Yet another invisible boundary. Maybe a little bit of an overcommitment here from Sentinels. I think this one might have been one, but coming back with the Doctor Strange portal as well. Sentinels are in a bit of a panic mode.
Yeah, but I mean, they get a pick onto Melio. Do Rad see an opportunity? The double dashes would suggest no, as it's going to be Naga getting out of the fight rather than into it. They do have down to the butterflies, and Sentinels don't have a defensive other than the Loki regeneration domain, which means that Rad have to do this in stages. Soft dive to force out the cooldown, and then you can punish with your Silo Cult afterwards.
All right, here comes the first soft dive, rolling on forward. Oh my goodness, they did not want to use the greens, and so amazing. Off the back of the wing, Shurikens was forced to feel the power of the Psylocke. And now Trust Me has found the creamy innards, and boy, is he going to try and excavate with the dark depredations of the tentacles. Rajaro next up on the docket to try and allow the pain on over. The Guardian Shield, yes, it will keep Aramori around for about a second. She cosplays the doppelganger before falling in her own right, moving on over. It's going to be a last second stagger, I imagine.
Oh no.
Oh, the freeze.
No, that's so unfortunate.
Trust Me fell.
Yeah, Trust Me is down, which is absolutely huge, but I mean, he's Venom.
Yeah.
Give it 5 seconds, he's going to be back in the fight already. And if you're Sentinels, you can't even really go first because you have to be worried about Rage of Ultron and It's Jeff and also Dance of the Butterflies, which Naga still hasn't used. We're going to have another cycle of the Loki regeneration domain, but this time Rad are already in control of that space. They've got that high ground verticality already set up, so they don't even have to burn cooldowns to be able to get into position.
Fate in a good position right now. Very aggressive play coming forward already. Up comes the invisible boundary once again. Doesn't really have that much purchase on the point. Melio knows exactly where they want to play inside that, and so just sends in the speculation of it all. And that's going to be Melio falling elsewhere. Ryan Missing has been so accurate so far on this. Great dodge coming through, and the turnaround from Ryan Mazing. You guys want to see a Shark disappear?
Oh, what an ultimate. Sentinels doing such a good job of dodging out of the It's Jeff. It is going to be a strange portal. But wait, hold on a minute.
Was that an invisible boundary?
Invis boundary.
Uh-oh.
Oh, okay, so folks, fun fact about domination. You retain your ultimate charges. Not 50% minimum, you retain 100% of it. So that invis boundary is
It ain't coming back.
Wasn't an invis boundary, it was a God of Mischief.
Oh,
Do you know what? That's what it was. It would have been a preemptive Loki copy, and then because you've used your ultimate, you've got to use Invis Boundary at some point anyway.
And maybe using the Loki copy to get an iframe on the Jeff ult as well.
Potentially, but that would have been unnecessary because Ryan Mazing would still have nabbed it with the Phoenix ult. I mean, it could just have been Sentinels the prospect of Strange Portal, seeing as well so many teams falling because of Strange Portal recontests, you just want to make sure that you cross your T's and you dot your I's, but it is unfortunate that they're not going to have access to it in this fight, especially because, I mean, Rad have Dance of the Butterflies and Feast of the Abyss, so even if Sentinels players stack up to absorb all of the pressure from the Psylocke dashes, they're just going to be feeding themselves to the Venom ult.
Okay, change up here. Fate no longer on the Jeff. Instead, over on the Cloak and Dagger. Maybe a Terror Cape to try and turn this one around. Level 1 Crook has already been forced to use their own ultimate. And that's going to be the fate of both worlds decided right here and now inside the greens of the Loki. It's just so easy. But this has forced Aramori onto the other side of a portal, so she will not be present for a majority of this fight. This might allow for a free first cap.
Yeah, Sentinels don't really have any dive component other than the Psylocke, who could have maybe gone to contest that. So like you said, Rad will be able to pick it up immediately. Trust me, he's going to be dropping from the pillar on high with that Feast of the Abyss all the way into the backline. He's gone. And Rad is still trying to force out the regeneration domain from this Loki.
Yeah, really want to break Aramori's spirit right here, first and foremost. She's got an Iron Will. Eventually, it's forced to use it there. Nectar doesn't get the attention. Fate takes him down with a Light Force Dagger. Moving on forward, it's Trust Me all over Crimzo. Big Freeze comes on through. Rajara used the Carbon Crush just to dodge away, and then wraps back around with the Sonic Seduction. And it's the feminine wiles of Rajaro that are able to set this one up for Trust Me. The Feast of the Abyss finally finds the flavor packet that the British has been lacking. And now the Invisible Boundary is so far away from where the fight needs to be. It's a full disengage coming through from Rad. Put in that corner. Crimzo grabs two. Unbelievable value off the back of that one. And a second Invisible Boundary is drawn up in favor of Sentinels. Still Rad have a Vanguard here to try and keep this one contested. Symbiotic Resilience means there's plenty of health for Trust Me, but it's easy to carve through for a Psylocke.
So you could criticize and say it's a lot of ults from the side of Sentinels, but it's smart because Rad needs space for this composition to be able to work with. And Sentinels will be able to deal with the dive now in increments rather than having to have it free angles that is now controlled against them. Immediately Sentinels too, pressuring Rad before they can stabilize and take those angles, develop them for the Psylocke, and that's a little bit of a late Eternal Bond, which Sentinels don't even need to counteract early because they've already found the picks onto two players from Rad.
Yeah, two players already down. Level 1 Crook seems to be the primary target here for the Phoenix, waiting for the Eternal Bond to go away, but a quick trip to the Dark Force dimension keeps most of Rad safe. The question is, where are the reinforcements? Trust Me, he's finally turned on up here, has a Feast of the Abyss ready to go, but the sparks, they're building, and the damage might prove too much. Rad finally have all they need to roll on forward now, and it's going to be a Soul Resurgence kicking over that additional movement speed. Disengagement not really on the cards. You can't get away from the Sonic Katana. Thousand-folded steel cuts through the Sentinels as Rad will retake the point.
Yeah, Rad just heralds Sentinels into those small spaces. Dance of the Butterflies and Feast of the Abyss all burn so they can find that flip. Now, once again, they can utilize those angles. They can set up these pinches. We can already see Naga and Trust Me on two different angles, which is now up to Nectar to be able to scout out. They saw the Psylocke on the left. Do they know where the Venom's coming from, though?
Venom has been a little bit mono-directional so far. Actually coming into a brand new point, but you know, when you're playing inside this area, it's a lot more vertically difficult, and it's a lot more difficult without your Psylocke as well. Great opening pick coming through from Crimzo, has to raise up the metallic curtain to stop themselves from getting mind-controlled. Finally gets grabbed on up, but he's inside of this. Hello, that's a lot of charge, but it doesn't go anywhere. Crimzo forced to throw it away, otherwise they'd have that meatball break on down. A quick copy given over, and that's an Eternal Bond shared out towards Sentinels. They finally got the strategist ultimate they were so desperately looking for. And boy, Nectar's clean with it. This guy's mechanics are sharp.
Oh, Mario's not going to have the Rage of Ultron to open up this next fight. A late pick on to Trust Me too means that Sentinels are going to have even more time to be able to scout out where this dive is going to be initially set up, get Rymazing and Nectar into positions. I mean, Techie might even just open up with an aggressive Sonic Seduction before Rad are ready to be able to play off of any opening that's provided. But Fate's going to have to hold the Eternal Bond for the CC immunity to dodge out of the charm and keep his team up.
Right, Amazing catching a little bit of damage here, but look at all of this incoming healing from Aramori on the Loki. Nectar forced to move elsewhere with the dance of the butterflies. Eternal Bond really hasn't got that much purchase so far. Techie looking for a victim to try and grab on in here. Trip to the Dark Force Dimension from Fate, and now they're going to be able to free heal from above, waiting for those purples to go away. Oh my goodness, Crook has been traded for Techie here. That's a lot of healing that's going to be missing. Naga's down as well. Aramori claims that one. A happy birthday present was wrapped by death itself, and Aramori's getting plenty of pocket through from Kurobe here. It's a flip in favor of Rad, and that starts overtime ticking on down. Next, got to try and clutch out here, but doesn't really have the HP to do it. Returning now with the strange portal and bending the dimensions in order to try and find favor for Sentinels. It's going to be Rajaro moving on forward, gets the Carbon Crush exactly when it's needed. Is potentially going to convert here onto Techie, but Aramori has been able to move on forward here. Brings up their own invisible boundary. Soul Resurgence thereafter is going to be channeled by Crook. It's extra damage, and extra damage is delivered well by Melio. The Rage of Ultron is declared, but he's under so much pressure. Sentinels, they're nowhere near the point. Rad forced them away, and we go 1-1.
Oh, wow. 1-1. We're going all the way. On Hell's Heaven, what a force. They just have so many ultimates. They zone off that point entirely. You have two players looking at Melio with the Rage of Ultron, one of which being that Psylocke. You'd already burned your defensives as well. I mean, really good job as well from level 1 Crook. Coming on through from Rad, they tried to get the sedation onto Aramori when she went for the copy onto the invis, so that they would be able to catch the Loki, having to go through 2 frames of animation. 1 for the Cast of God of Mischief, 2 for the copy of the invisible boundary throw up, which would have meant that Dance of the Butterflies could have been absolutely huge from Naga, but it doesn't come through, and then they just hold on to the Psylocke ultimate, wait for the invis boundaries to be done, and then come on through, forcing Sentinels to spread away from the point entirely, as we get to go all the way to Super Soldier Factory. And this is where we get to see Nectar off of the Psylocke and onto the Wolverine, because we've got an environmental drop-off potential that Rad are going to have to deal with.
Yeah, Nectar's a nasty customer on the Wolverine, especially with that Phoenix Force team-up to give over both the additional damage and the lifesteal.
Yeah, Primal Flame is not one to sniff at. Crimzo too onto that Groot, with Rad not being there on the Wolverine currently. But where Rad are is on the high ground right now. They have so much angle control. Sentinels just boxed into one small space. They've got so many places they have to look.
Fist of the Abyss, ready to go. The question is, who's on the menu? Already asleep, going the way of Crimzo. A lot of damage done by Trust Me. There's going to be taking plenty of damage in their own right, but Feral Leap is exactly what was needed. And what the Doctor ordered was absolute adamantium dominance here. Nectar hides away behind the vat of Super Soldier Serum. And inside there, that's going to be a perfect play. Up behind, drops the walls. Level 1 Crook, well, they lost their sleep, but not much more than that. Rad still only down on 1 player. And they're sustaining well off the back of this Fate of Both Worlds, but it's almost over already, Mox.
Yeah, but Rad is still holding on. They've got a Rage of Ultron!
Oh my goodness.
But the last stand comes on through from Sentinels. Techie too is going to be holding on the Meteor M to be able to potentially shut the Ultron ult down, as we can see that Nectar's able to find the grab onto level 1 Crook and deposits them into the copied Loki boundary to get that slow so that the Mantis can't get to the team, and Rad can't cycle another defensive to stall the point longer.
Yeah, great stun there on Crook, extending it using that rocket pack that had been held in the back pocket for a while.
Techie's still holding on as well to this Meteor M. They might just use it for the CC immunity to dodge out of Rajaro's Psionic Seduction, as they don't really have anything else that can pressure out that Emma, and Rad have the means to open up this fight aggressively. The question is, do they have the space? The Sentinels flood the choke and just take everything away.
All right, Naga swap over now onto the Wolverine. Ryan Mason's already fallen on down. That one's courtesy of Melio. Melio gets grabbed out of midair by Nectar. They're trying to pull him in even deeper, but it's Captain America to the rescue. Liberty says they can do this all day, and Techie doesn't get too much off the back of the Meteor M. It's a forced disengagement here from Sentinel. Victor over the point of Rad again.
Yeah, I mean, Soul Resurgence. Sentinels didn't have any defense to go match with. Now they've got the Invis boundary. Can Kurova throw it up in time? But no! They already lose Aramori! And now Rad are up 1 defensive.
All right, attempt to try and keep everyone safe here. That's going to be a good Carbon Crush to stop Nectar from farming up after that ultimate that was laid down by Crimzo. Moving forward, Rad, they smell the blood in the water, and now they've kidnapped someone away. It was Techie who left was left deposed. Amazing lands down on top of them, but now it's going to be spawning in the midst of all the danger. Nectar sees the opening, and Nectar strikes true. A last stand, a last hope, a last dream, and it's still real in the eyes of Sentinels. Rad are still in control. Trixie still grabs one. A freedom charge to keep everybody topped on up with the additional HP, but they're running on borrowed time, they're running on borrowed health, and they're running on borrowed space. Doctor Strange comes up with a portal.
On your left, Rad say, and instantly they find the regroup. Invis boundary comes on through from Aramori, allowing Sentinels a window of opportunity, because this is the last fight. They need to out-sustain their opponents, but that's easier said than done when Rad have triple strategists and Sentinels are running out of ultimates. Kurova has to use a second Invis boundary, but it's off the point, and Rad have the better sustain.
There's no help for Kurova. Crypto falls as well. No one's there to touch. They can't get around the pillar in time. And Rad steal it out from under Sentinels. Again and again, they prioritize the objective, and Sentinels can't keep their feet on it.
And again, they pressure the Invis. Every single time that invisible boundary comes out, if Rad have anything to say about it, it's off of the objective, or as much of it off as it possibly can be. They love just pushing into the space that Sentinels should have for their own, and when they have things like the Captain America, the Mantis, they're all able to do that because they have so much support in terms of the pocket. They've got an Ultron drone, so if everyone's just grouped up in one small room, that AoE is reaching everybody. Likewise, they've got the Luna Snowflake with the Idol Aura, so one person's receiving all of that healing as long as you're seeing a Vanguard and just chunking everyone fully healed.
I'm getting deja vu.
Yeah.
Another 5 mapper? Would we be so lucky?
It definitely feels like it, because like both of these two teams, you can see they understand each other's strengths.
Yeah,
the fact that
the read
Rad,
is good.
Yeah, Rad went immediately for the Frodo Frescom. They were like, you don't get this. We're not even letting you have any opportunity of a Mantis composition. We're taking that out right from the rip. And I think like now we have to see Sentinels adapt to the loss of that.
Yeah, adapting to that loss, like mourning the loss of ResComp is going to have to be gotten over very quickly here for Sentinels, and XL's going to have to dive into an and be like, oh, what's my set play for this one? And also, protecting that Mantis from Rad is interesting because it forces the Adam ban from the other side, which really can limit options. Like maybe you can ban the Ultron, but then they can pivot into true ResComp, which is unideal.
Yeah, and it was really unfortunate too. They got to start saving some of these strategists. I think like that's another thing which Rad are trying to sort of direct them into. If you start saving strategists so that you don't get stuck on Invis Woman as your strategist lineup, again, because they got the Loki.
Yeah.
Great, we get regeneration domain.
2 invisible boundaries.
But you now get 2 invisible boundaries, because Rad also did a very good job of hiding their Luna.
Yeah.
Whenever Aramori had ultimate, they made sure that their Luna was as far away from that Loki's line of sight as possible. And this is actually a strategy that Rad have done in the past, where they let other teams get the Loki and then they body blocked. They literally stacked the biggest hitboxes, their Vanguards, directly on top of that Loki so that he couldn't see past the hitbox to be able to hit double confirm onto the strategist.
Yeah, definitely not a coincidence that one of Sentinel's strongest fights was when Aramori managed to get eyes onto Fate and copy the Eternal Bond.
Yes.
That was a lot of space gained, a lot of uptime on that ultimate as well, and
yeah.
that's incredibly important on these shifting points that Hydra Base has.
Yeah, and it's easier said than done, because one of the actual interactions between Loki and Cloak and Dagger is that you can't, as a Loki, actually copy a dashing Cloak.
Oh, wow.
So if a Cloak and Dagger is mid-Eternal Bond, you don't get an opportunity to hit confirm into God of Mischief. You have to wait until they're out of that ultimate. So if you're Rad, you can very quickly just be like, oh, you want the Cloak and Dagger? You can't have the Cloak and Dagger. They were dashing for your entire team, and now they're gone.
Interesting that we saw Fates forced off the Jeff, though.
Yes.
That was going to be maybe a centerpiece of domination in particular for Rad. But the pressure that came in towards the back, Nectar in particular, was being absolutely lethal towards that Jeff. His wide hitbox and how a lot of it is head, it does mean that a good Psylocke can absolutely decimate you.
Yeah, and we didn't really get to see him take as much space as possible, because Sentinel, something else that they did a very, very good job of, I think Frozen Airfield showed this the best, was that they were just clearing the angles.
Yes.
Like, we got to see just Nectar and Rymazing every single time there was downtime and they were in control of that point, One of them would be up on left side where we have train carriage rotation. The other one would be all the way up on the high ground of that point, just scouting to see whether or not there would be a Psylocke up there, a Venom up there, a Jeff up there. And it meant that that setup staging of the dive got entirely dismantled.
Yeah, there was always like some poke, there was always some tax to be paid on the commute. And that's one of the things we brought up about like Enzo's Venom at the end of Krakoa when they were going up against Envy in the previous game. Like the homework that's being done by some of these American teams is really paying dividends against the dive, but when you're playing something like a Wolverine, when you're playing something like a Groot, you don't have as much access to those high grounds. Like you're playing a very slow Groot Magneto. You can't do your homework. You're very much a monolith.
Well, let's have a look at these statistics coming on through. 32,749 healing done for him. I mean, when your second strategist is a Mantis and an Ultron, the Luna is obviously going to be doing the lion's share. And Sentinels had a lot of strategist healing too, coming out from their end. Kurova 37,000 and also Aramori 30,000 too. But there was a lot of pressure on the backline just for dealing with all of the incoming damages and angles that Rad were controlling. Because if you're just trying to scout out where exactly a Venom and Psylocke are going to be coming from, surprise, surprise, your strategists are definitely going to have their head on the pivot rather than just being able to look forward and focus down the target.
Trustman's putting out an impressive amount of damage on the Captain America / Venom.
Yes.
Keeping up with Techie, who was playing, I believe, Magneto and Emma.
Yes.
Is not to be sniffed at.
Yeah, and it's actually Rajaro who's going to be coming on through with that MVP. Also, I love this. Healing received 32,520.
Guang Guang.
That Emma Frost was huge because when we talk about dive, right, there's a couple of ways that you can deal with dive. You can either deal with the things that dive your backline, where you bait your backline and then you play just full CC, the way that we saw Enzo just get absolutely shredded every single time. But one of the things that you can also do is that you can wait for that dive to hit your team, and then you can run forward onto the backline of the dive's team. And the way that you prevent that is you have a buffer. That's why we're not really seeing full dive compositions in Marvel Rivals, because strategists don't have the ability to dive with them at the moment. That's why Jeff is as good as he is, right, in compositions like this, because he can go with the team, and he's not isolated and vulnerable and easy to run onto. So, for Rad, it's really paramount that they have something like an Emma Frost or a Doctor Strange or a Magneto to act as that divider, so that Sentinels don't just hear, okay, there's a Venom and a Psylocke and an Ultron all on our backline, let's just run onto their backline instead.
All right, let's look at the highlights here from Hell's Heaven. This is one of the greatest plays by Nectar, just for extended control onto Crook to deny the usage of the Soul Resurgence. And Amazing here, unfortunately, kind of held themselves hostage in the finish. Like, okay, most of my team are gone. I guess I'm doomed.
You can tell that Sentinels, like, they have a read of stall. They have a read of stall strats, because they were like, yeah, they're going to use Soul Resurgence so they can just lengthen out that fight, get another ultimate, get more point percentage, force us to have to use more if it goes off. So they were just like, let's just get an Mantis. And it was a very, very good long play. The fact that they actually utilized the rocket jump pack for the Mantis rather than trying to nab out a Vanguard early on so you could clean house was very, very smart.
Some mid-air fire as well while they were floating. Make sure that the Mantis was super low by the time they hit the ground, didn't have the time to use the Soul Resurgence. Yeah,
and we've seen like Wolverine, very, very strong at taking Vanguards down, but when your damage is health pool percentage based, Vanguards have a lot of HP. Strategist, very squishy. So getting that pick onto the Mantis off of just one grab, especially because they actually made sure to deposit the Mantis into the invis boundary, so you got that slow too. Like they were planning to make sure that like, the Mantis, if you didn't go down within the first millisecond of the Wolverine nab, you went down very shortly afterwards.
Yeah, because Soul Resurgence has that burst heal attached to it as well, so it can be a little bit difficult to convert upon. If you got the Mantis, you can throw down the sedation at her feet as well. And honestly, I wonder if we're going to continue seeing this Mantis protect as like it's for Sophie's choice, right?
Yeah, I mean it's really strong. I think when you have like limited bans, it forces the enemy team, because Mantis enables many compositions.
Yes.
She's kind of like Luna in that way, right? Where if Luna is on the field, there are a lot of compositions that you have to worry about. You have to worry about like, okay, well, that Luna is going to be able to empower things like the Star-Lord and the Panther, the Wolverine, and obviously the Psylocke as well.
Spider-Man. Right? Right, guys?
Sure.
Okay, buddy, let's get you to bed.
Spider-Man, like they have enough mobility. Okay, I'm gonna say this right now to every single Spider-Man player. You have higher mobility than Magic and Black Panther and Psylocke and any other person who relies on mobility to get themselves out of rough situations. Just save your strategist some gray hairs and swing to a health pack.
So no Flake? it's where are we going? I didn't see the map. I think we're going to Midtown. I was too engrossed in your monologue. I think we're going to Midtown.
I hear the rumblings of many upset Peter Parker mains. I might have to hide underneath the desk for the next map, Harry.
We're going to come and do a fantastic combo on you. Don't worry. We've got good security here in Guangzhou who'll keep us safe from the Spider-Man players.
It's fine. Mantis has a truck-sized AoE. I'll hit the sedation to stop the ultimate. We're good.
Hit him with the AoE train. Let's head into our band stage here and see what our teams are cooking. And Exile needs to try and rescue Sentinels from this hole, but this is their map pick.
Yes, that is the silver lining. When you go down one of these maps, you get to decide which map you take us to next, as well as which side you're going to be starting next. So maybe that's the swap-up that we're going to see, you know? Maybe Sentinels are going to try and go for that one-sided ban and save themselves first.
Could be the case. What did they first ban last time? Human Torch?
Yes.
I think a Human Torch and maybe Loki?
Yeah, it was Human Torch and Loki in comparison. We saw Rad with the instant ban onto Mantis.
Yeah.
But they've been doing that against every team.
Well, certainly, maybe there's been a little bit of cross-pollination of ideas here in Guangzhou, because they have been screwing the Asian teams, and Asia loves their Mantis.
True, but both of these teams really like triple strategist lines, and Mantis is a big component of triple strategist lines. Because Ultron is also one of those go-tos in the triple strategist line, because if you go triple strategist, you're going to be pulling one of your duelists, so you want to go for a strategist that you sub in who can still push up those damage numbers. And I mean, Mantis does damage.
She does.
She does a lot of damage, and so too does Ultron, especially if he's got a 12% damage boost.
And she's rewarded for hitting headshots as well.
Yes.
With the return of those spores.
With a whole spore.
And I guess that's one of the reasons why they're happy to allow Loki to go through the ban phase as well, because those doppelgangers, they're free life spawns.
Yeah, they are indeed free life spawns if you can hit those headshots coming on through. As well as if you're running Emma, right? Then it's free charge.
Yeah.
And you say like, oh, that's a little bit min-maxy. Those are genuine comms that come into play, where if there's a Loki doppelganger up and you have something like a Winter Soldier and an Emma, they fight over who gets to take that doppelganger down.
Okay, early ban here on the Mantis from Sentinels. We are not seeing that again, and Rad respond with the one-sided pro-gamer move of only we get to play Lunar Snow.
Yeah, and it is going to be a Torch as well up on the chopping block next that Sentinels are going to be removing. Ooh, there's that Loki save that we got to see. However, Rad do have one-sided Luna. They're also going to make sure that Sentinels don't have one-sided Mantis, so Ultron and Adam now become... Yeah, it's sort of like Sentinels doing the thing that Rad did.
Yep.
Where it's just, we target strategists, and Rad are like, we see the strategy, we target strategists.
Yeah, once again, they're trying to put Aramori in a position where she has to copy a less than ideal strategist ultimate.
Yeah, I mean, they do have the Luna at the moment, but like you said, if Aramori gets the angle, she'll also get the fate of both worlds, as well as for that 12-second window. Snowflake.
I mean, one of the things about this as well is it kind of forces the invis protect, even though it's unideal in many cases when it comes to like doubling up on your strategist ultimates, because otherwise you're gonna have what, Rocket Raccoon Ultron Loki, which is unideal.
Yeah, it turns out that Loki getting to copy a Rocket or an Invis isn't the greatest when it comes to the strategists available, but Sentinels will be able to get one-sided Loki, and even though they probably have a worse copy target, they do have regeneration domain, which is one of the best cooldowns in the game. However, Rad did save Phoenix, which does mean that all of those deployables do get destroyed immediately. As Jean Grey likes to say, you are nothing.
Me at all of those group wars, you are now nothing. 100
HP is how much those Loki regeneration domain crystals hold each per, and Phoenix just says, yeah, 100 to 0.
You know, if I could hit those, they'd go down so fast. Unfortunately, I ain't that guy, Mox. North America versus EMEA continues right now. EMEA hoping for revenge for the fallen brothers of Citadel of Hands of Envy. Sentinels want to stand in the way of Rad's ascent.
Well, it is Midtown, and Midtown tends to be the home grounds of the spawn hold. Strange has not been target banned out, nor has something like the Penny Parker, so we could potentially see a spawn triple Vanguard strategy coming on through from the side of Sentinels, who are going to be on the defense, as it looks like it's going to actually be Nectar on the Hella to try and just snipe some of these players from Rad in anticipation of that Phoenix.
All right, Techie for now, holding strong on the back line. We're not seeing one of those weird Penny Parker holes at the beginning here.
I feel like they're too easy to break now with the Squirrel
especially
Girl and the Moon Knight strategy.
It's
And
been
speaking
solved.
about broken, Melio just got shredded in half.
Techie going to be a little bit more lucky on the disengagement. Does force out for regeneration domain, which means it isn't available for Crimzo. Techie ate up all of those resources, and it's easy to carve through for Naga and Fate thereafter.
Well, the Hell Tendrils were short-lived as a team-up, as Nectar's life on Hella was also short, therefore it falls to him to swap over to the Doctor Strange to portal everyone back on the side of Sentinels. Crimson's actually even going to go over to the Fing so that they just have that Yancy Street Charge and the Earthbound debuff that it applies to stop some of the movements coming in through from this Wolverine.
Going to make things a little bit more complicated for Naga here, as of course, not going to be able to be taken away by the Feral Leap. Can at least just get the stun in place here. Rajaro not being very greedy when it comes to their usage of the bubble. Oh, frozen in place there. Nice play there from Fate. Next is already fallen down. Invisible Boundary's been drawn on up to stop Ramis from being able to deliver too much off the back of the Rage of Ultron. And now a fully raged up Naga is looking for some victims. Multiple players are going to be dragged in by the mind control. The feminine wiles of Emma cannot be resisted by Sentinels, and they find themselves scuppered on their portal recontest.
Oh, they're leaving the Doppelganger for the Amateur to keep up charge. That other Wolverine, as Naga is going to be coming on through with the last stand. Sentinels do have ultimates, but do they try? No, yeah, it's just going to be a setup. Maybe? No, they're trying. The Magneto Nectar tries to move forward, but it's not enough. Aramori even actually committed regeneration domain to give that Magneto a little bit of safe passage, as Naga is definitely something to worry about. Invis Boundaries up, the Sentinels might be out of it.
Oh, Korova slain as they were laying on their back by Wolverine. Clobbering time is used. Forces out even more here from Rad. As it's all in from both teams. The battle for momentum is going to be hard fought and hard won by one of these teams. Techie, one of the last remaining, but Rad, with their investment, get another clean sweep through.
Okay, Sentinels have the better ultimate economy, but Rad start the fight, getting to move on forward. And now they can pressure Sentinels into potentially losing a player. Nectar goes incredibly close. You know what fights fire? Fire. And apparently Melio's heat was almost too hot for Nectar to handle.
Double flames coming forth from Sentinels here, heating up with both the Human Torch and the Phoenix. And Ryan Amazing has their ultimate available. We've seen it do great things before. Nectar demands some attention on the off angle, and that's going to be easily dealt with here by Melio. Invisible Boundary good to go for Crook as well. Brown, you could be one shot here through via the Phoenix, and that's why there's so much pressure coming on through into the air towards the back inside of the Invisible Boundary. An attempt to try and wait this one out here, and they aren't able to burn through it in time, but the healing's going to be good. Regeneration domains has already been used as well. Techie falls through the cracks. Crook's been taken out on the other side. Rashavo so accurate with these metallic volleys. They just carve through Sentinels, but Rymazing on the off angle is able to do so much.
Yeah, Fate got picked. Even through the Invis Boundary coming out from level 1, Crook, Sentinels are able to target focus the Luna out, and Rad just don't have the sustain. Not when that convoy is so close to Sentinels respawn. They have the numbers advantage with the regroup. And they're going to have the Supernova too to be able to keep up with Rad. Trust me, with that Stone Seduction, might try to shut the torch down, but Aramori's getting so much time to be able to build up that God of Mischief. Naga going to be playing that off angle, but immediately gets cleared and has to play main with the team instead.
Yeah, wants to build up some rage to get some value out of his last stand here. Next has for Supernova, ready to go, heading straight in towards the back. Crimso ready to try and stun everyone up with a clobbering time. From downtown. Level 1 Crook never saw it coming. Couldn't bring up the Invisible Boundary to try and deal with this. Oh my goodness, the Fantastic Four have arrived, and they're arriving in style, baby.
Oh.
A quick movement tech to escape, and Sentinels, they lock the door.
I mean, are we surprised that Johnny Storm's moves are flashy? I think not. Sentinels hold the space. Rad denied any opportunity to utilize the ultimates that they had in the back pocket. Oh, Crimzo. Oh, we've seen these plays before. If Rad don't check that corner, they all get hit by clobbering time, and they all get hit by the supernova that follows.
Easy headshots for the Phoenix as well. Nice, good scout there from
Wolverine.
Naga. Season was like, all right, fine, I'll give it up for a moment. Aramori first pick there by Melio. Unbelievable value straight off the gate from the Phoenix, and now getting super aggressive on the back of this inside of the invisible boundary. There's plenty of damage all outside of the invisible boundary. There's Raj with a second one. Oh, they're all in onto that back line. A fantastic fall becomes a fantastic fail. Only Crimzo remains now, but how long can his health pool last for when he's just building up the charge here for Trust Me? This might well be a surrendered point for the side of Sentinels as Rad moves to third.
Well, it's the swap from the Wolverines. Fantastic Four apparently don't beat the Dangerous Duo. That was a last stand into Meteor M follow-up. Rajara, the easiest pick of their life, coming on for homing missile onto where the Wolverine would deposit them. And Naga now, job done, moves over to the Winter Soldier to start putting pressure on the double fly with the Tainted Voltage, being able to drop them from the ground almost immediately as Nectar's poke pressure is actually boarding up the Supernova. Sentinels might be able to rally around the pressure that the Torch's ultimate brings.
Might force Crimzo out there. That's so much poke damage from Dr. Stern on to the Thing. However, taking up to the skies, Techie, ready to try and silence a strategist in midair. Oh, Techie, I'm afraid you ain't that guy right now, brother, but Amazing might well be. The damage is done. Even through the fate of both worlds, Rad thought they had all the sustainability they needed, but they could not be more wrong.
Yeah, Nectar still holding onto that Supernova too. As we can see, the Tech is taking a little bit of damage just to be able to battery up Kurova, so they've got both of the strategist ultimates. There's the Sonic Seduction, and it catches onto Nectar, but the bubble and the regeneration domain keep the Torch alive. The Emerald's done, and Nectar still has Supernovas to throw.
Inside the invisible boundary is taken down as Crook is focused by both Nectar and the Phoenix in concert towards the back. Melio getting a little bit frisky. There's no regeneration domain that remains, and so Melio is able to pick up Aramori. Naga knows that there is still something lurking in the back. I believe it's a Phoenix back there, which refuses to show their face. Now finally has to try and disengage. Seems to be getting away with absolute murder right here. Naga's trying to shake some down. It's a bait though for Crimzo. Unbelievable bait and switch from Sentinels. It's going to be a bit of a tilter for Naga.
That was the win condition. He had the ultimate that Rad needed for this next fight. Sentinels play it so smart. Now no Kraken impact. You don't even get to utilize the ultimate to break free from the Fisk molding because you have to worry about hitting your head on the ceiling. And Sentinels have so much more space, and that means so much more spam from Nectar.
All right, big stun coming through onto Naga right now. Good focus, 5. They send a Phoenix on in after it, but the healing is good from Fate. Just going to float above it all. Imperiously, nice dodge! Unbelievable from Naga. And now multiple players afflicted with the Carling debuff, but waiting up in the air. Amazing once again, pilots it on in. Melio just able to survive this one for now. Rad just keep it on a dime.
Rad still have that invis boundary. They're going to have Sonic Seduction as well. Sentinels know that their ultimate economy is against them. Naga's going to be onto that Punisher just to have the blitz damage. Crimzo on this thing is just a pin cushion, but you also bring Hitscan to the table, which can melt down Nectar if he's playing a little bit too aggro, and that means that Rad gets to move forward finally, surging around second con of Sonic Seduction.
14 seconds remain. Multiple players mind controlled for a moment. Trust me, shield barely lasts a moment. Melio taken up by Crimzo from downtown. The embattled leap takes them directly where they need to be, and that's going to be Supernova projectiles grabbed on up, stunned too by Crimzo. The clobbering time is declared, but is it time for dinner as Nectar tries to burn on through them, and he burns through Fate. Naga's returned, yes, but level 1 Crook's going to be the only healing that's available for Rad, and standing up against the Sentinels' damage is far from guaranteed. A return of the Doctor Strange, and he's going to be checking in for an appointment here. He's going to stand alone for a moment. There's not going to be enough healing really to try and sustain him. Dragged on in and turned around, absolutely tossed around like a ragdoll. Rad, they're going to have so much trouble getting through the portal as Thing stands in the way, and the wall of the Sentinels remains impenetrable.
Nectar on that Torch on third was just so impossible for Rad to be able to deal with. The peel from Sentinels. When they come through with that Sonic Seduction in Nectar's ultimate, I'm like, for sure that Torch is cooked.
Yeah.
But it turns out that Rad are the ones that get smoked instead. What a bubble. The Bulwark from Techie, the Regeneration Domain 2 from Aramori, and Nectar just flying perfectly height level for the Regeneration Domain crystals to apply to him so that it's not too high. What a sync, because they knew that that would be the counter. The second Supernova got pulled, they knew Psionic Seduction was coming secondly.
Yeah, great fight read there coming through from the side of Sentinels. Still, this is far from lost for the side of Rad. They've got a reasonable distance, and we have seen all manner of holds on Midtown, Mox, be it first, second, or so early on third.
Is this where we get to see the spawn hold?
Might be.
Is this where we see the spawn hold?
You know that Rymazing loves that Moon Knight.
We do know that Rymazing does love that Moon Knight, and I mean, Crim's already been playing the Groot too, so I feel like if you're Rad, you're wanting to stay clear away from it, because you do run the risk, if you go for the spawn hold, of being stuck on a bad composition for 2 other fights on first.
Not something you really want to play with here. Crimso's going to roll out on the Groot just in case.
Does he stick with it? Is the question. I mean, you've got good synergy with both your Phoenix and your Torch, but no, it's going to be the thing that comes on through. So damage reduction too, just to give Sentinels that extra little bit of confidence to be able to move forward into this brawl stage of the fight.
He's going to be good at shutting down, trust me, but it's going to be catching a lot of poke from the Phoenix Psylocke duo. Survivability might be an issue, but you can also say that it's going to charge up those strategist ultimates before you even know it. Melio, a little bit of a fumble there, unable to convert onto Nectar.
Oh, it is the Groot. So he gave the damage reduction, then swaps off to the Groot to try and find wall isolations onto Rad, whose players are being split handily by Sentinels, having 2 flyers, which means that they have multiple lane controls on both the left and right, and now main because of the Groot pushing the brawl.
Melio's half back here as well. Nectar continuously peppering them and just has essentially unlimited healing from his Guardian Shield that can't be dealt with easily by Melio.
Melio's stuck.
Oh, this is like a hostage situation. Hold up, hold up! You're not.
Never mind.
I'm not stuck in here with you.
Nobody puts Melio in a corner. And yeah, that is Psylocke getting out. Scot-free for that one, especially because we have Idolora from Fate. And you know what? Fate's gonna get a better bargain. Rymazing falls too.
All right, Melio still working round the back. Techie tries to press on forward. That's going to be the Phoenix ult coming on up almost directly on top of the Magneto. Metallic Bulwark managed to block out most of the damage. Trust me, still delivers a Sentinel strike to the heart when it's needed to finish this one off for Rad. And despite giving up some space, they hold strong.
Dance of the Butterflies can be used in tandem with Psionic Seduction to just silence Aramori's ability to save the team, but those regeneration domains, you have to worry about them. Nectar too is going to be able to scout out. Trust me, they know that Freedom Charge is going to be up for that Captain America. They do not want another Sustain ultimate to let Rad live them longer.
All right, preemptive copy here with the God of Mischief coming through from Aramori to make sure that it cannot be shut down. That forces out the invisible boundary. Trust me, just disengages. Waits for this one to finish. Might well be down to the second invisible boundary, but Kurova's still a little bit shy of this one. Ready to go forth with the Dance of a Butterflies, waiting for the rest of Rad to move on forward. Forced to disengage. Here it comes. The Dance of a Butterfly. So many players stacked on up. They democratize the damage, but Melio still manages to strike at the heart when it's needed. Unbelievable focus fire coming through from Rad and send it down to 130.
Yeah, perfect timing too. Melio commits the ultimate as Kurova gets invisible boundary, and one of the first to fall is the Invis Woman. Sentinels, though, will have really good ultimates coming into this next fight. That Strangling Prison and Supernova can punch damage through both the Invis Boundary and that Lunar Dance of Fate of Both Worlds, regardless of which strategist decides to commit their ult.
Nectar has learned to respect Melio in a small room. We will not be taking that adventure again. And now with a Supernova active, maybe Melio can try and wrap in from behind inside of the invisible boundary. They're stacked up on top of each other. It's a Venn diagram of destruction here as Nectar rises up with all of the damage. In comes the first Phoenix for second, waits imperiously above as Naga comes on down, find themselves caught within the Strangling Prison laid down by Crimso. Good breaking of the Thornlash walls behind. There isn't enough damage to burst on through. Nectar's been taken down here, up close and personal together. ever. This is where the Phoenix is at her best. Trust me, he's coming in with the melee. Sentinel strikes inside of the invisible boundary. The healing's good to keep Sentinels in this for now. And Naga was dragged back in with a force physics. And now it has to be Kurova who's under siege. Metallic Bulwark has to be given on over. Guess who's going to be mind controlled? It's everyone on Sentinels. Rajaro's able to line him on up and maybe knock them down. It's going to be Melia who does the first bit of knocking right here. And knocking on the door comes the diamond form. Emma going for a grab and a nice spinning kick too. But Techi's still there to try and clinch this one back. And level 1 Crook is caught out of position. There's going to be one last fight.
One last fight, potentially two. Rad haven't Strange Portaled yet. They could Strange Portal now and go for another one just before the point moves on, but no, it doesn't look like anyone's going to be swapping onto the Strange. They trust that they're going to be able to tap the cap onto it instead. Nectar onto the Winter Soldier, might be able to come through with the Bionic Hook and stop him from touching.
Oh, great Aegis there, coming through from Rajaro. Heard the charging of the Bionic Hook, was able to try and stop it in its tracks. Just a little bit of pausing here and there to give time for Melia to set up on the off angle with the Dancer with Butterflies. Kurova, it's going to be all about the usage of this invisible boundary right here, but try to get away with only using the regeneration domains. They're broken on through, the Phoenix ult on top. That forces Kurova to use it, but remember that it's away from the cart for now, and the invisible boundary of Rad is better. It's down on the cart. They couldn't see where everyone was, and when the invisible boundary goes up, so too do the hopes and dreams of Sentinels go down.
Oh, shades of Eldritch Monument there. At the end of that round, it felt like, where they just, again, have so much pressure on the objective that Sentinels are forced to take a big step backwards at the time that Sentinels need to be consolidating their position. But they had to respect the ultimates that Rad were coming in with. They knew that they had to just deal with that Psylocke ultimate coming on through. Like you said, they tried to go for the budget solution of the regeneration domain because they knew they had to outlast everything that came afterwards. You're going up against essentially 3 strategist ultimates when you have that Captain America in play, right? As opposed to you've got to then stretch invisible boundary and regeneration domain. Mr. Fantastic tends to be the one who stretches normally in Fantastic Four, but unfortunately when you're coming in with that composition, you gotta make Mrs. Fantastic's ultimate work just as hard. And Rad just took full advantage of that. Distracted, forced Sentinels into the sidelines, and then when they needed to be on the objective, no one was touching, and map just ends.
And now we're forced to think, what adaptation the Sentinels need to make towards this band structure? Because they haven't really made an adaptation that saves their strategists just yet.
Yeah.
And Rad, they're just going to keep running down the, you know what, no strategist for you, until it's forced off of them.
I mean, it was Rocket. It was Rocket. That was how Citadel beat Rad going after strategists.
Yeah.
This heavily. It was a Rocket Raccoon. And they literally, so the strategy for Citadel, unfortunately, is very specific to Citadel because they had Tanuki on the Black Panther and they put Ken on the Rocket and they literally sent Tanuki in. They said, burn every single one of your cooldowns, going in, getting a pick. You're not getting out. It's okay. We'll bring you back with Rocket out. See ya. And then everybody came on through, and they literally just revived him, I think, 9 times with the be right back on Midtown. And that was the way that Citadel were able to dodge the strategist chase down, because it is just an absolute strike against this role that Sentinels are being put under. So we're going to have to see a pivot.
Maybe it has to be a Luna save. Or a Cloak and Dagger save, potentially,
yeah.
Early on. I don't know if the Loki is working as well. Even if regeneration domain's good and the Loki output is strong, it feels like there's constantly these, there's the double-edged swords of these doppelgangers. We saw Trust Me able to get so much charge off of them for free. You can get rage off of them as Wolverine.
Yeah.
Life Spores coming up as well. And you just have to kind of, you have to do the double invisible boundary as well, which is unideal when it comes to the power spikes in this game that are strategist ultimates.
Yeah, and I mean, there's so many things which can grab you out of an invis boundary. Like, one of the best things for an invisible woman to do when invis boundary is in play and there are one-shots in the game is not actually being your ultimate. Which is crazy because then you're not getting those heals. So you then become even more vulnerable and targetable and everyone just shreds you down and they're like, well, why did you go down when your ultimate was in play? Because you can't play inside it. It's really unfortunate. One of the things that is the reason why Invisible Woman's ultimate is not as good in comparison to some of the other strategies is that just her base kit is incredibly strong. Force Physics is one of the best cooldowns in the game. I think in terms of strategist kit, it's definitely up there with Regeneration Domain and also Idle Aura. For the Lunar Snow, Force Physics being able to just grab people in rather than push them back so that your team can set up a CC chain is huge. But we're not really getting to see those plays. I think if they really try to like play into the CC chain where you have Force Physics grabs in, then you Groot walls and you find an isolation, or you run, you know, the torch potentially to just pyro prison someone when they're stuck in that space too.
Phoenix right click.
Yeah, Phoenix right click, and you all set up all of those players to hit at the same time. It would have found more value, but the thing was that Rad was so good at pulling attention into all of these different pockets of fights that no one from Sentinels really felt like they were able to fight off of each other.
All right, let's have a quick look at our stats here. Nectar definitely standing apart from the remainder of the team here with 11 final hits, but on the other side, Melio. Looks like we've got a little bit of a tighter cluster. Fate coming away with 7 final hits as Lunar is not to be sniffed at either.
Yeah, I mean, trust me as well, being able to block 41,000 damage on the Captain America. So that Rad can literally just choose wherever they want to fight. Even when sometimes they were going in, taking fights against and losing those 1v1s, it was still stalling time. So that when they wanted to go for the full regroup, and they could regroup much faster with the Captain America and the Silo coming into play, then they could always fight on objective where they wanted to.
Oh, the deja vu continues, Monks. Hopefully it's not a full repeat. Come on, the NBA. Come on.
True. We have indeed been here before, as Fate is going to be picking up that MVP on the Lunar Snow with 45,323 total healing done on that map of Midtown. Crucially as well, 7 final hits. That is...
Wow, that's like half of his total KOs.
Yeah, that's a very bloodthirsty Lunar Snow.
There's nothing to be sniffed at either.
Yeah.
Like, Fate's a great mechanical player. Didn't quite reach the height that he wanted in previous esports titles in the hero shooter genre, kind of stuck in like the tier 4 space. But Fate grinded early in Marvel Rivals. Really did a good job of establishing himself in this scene and having the leadership to try and put together a team. I believe Fate's actually the team captain.
Yes, he is. Yeah, he's the team captain. He's very, very good too at looking at a lot of the other regions and seeing what they play.
Yeah.
So they're always very keyed in to the different region matters, and it doesn't surprise me that they're the ones taking advantage of the Mantis because of this.
Yeah, very smart gamer, and really has done plenty for Rad, who like there's a lot of like esports pedigree on this team, and then there's Fate, who kind of put it all together, and it's kind of a brain man behind a lot of it.
Well, we can have a look at our replays here. Sentinels starting on the defense. It looked strong. It looked really, really good. There were some amazing fights that they had with just the clobbering times coming on for putting pressure onto Rad's players. The last stands as well, just grabbing them out of the invisible boundaries. And third, Nectar on the Human Torch looking absolutely unstoppable. But it just fell apart when they went over to the attack.
Yeah, showing exactly why Human Torch is usually first banned in these compositions, but, well, Rad, they have their strategy and they're sticking to it. This was super impressive by Melio. The entire time was at half HP. Kind of pants next to there, unfortunately. Who did have a team up as well from the Invisible Woman, but wasn't quite enough. You don't go close to the Psylocke in those small rooms. It's never really a good idea.
Yeah, and I mean, especially when you have that ultimate in play too. Multiple people just going to be hit by so many of those dashes, and if one person falls, everyone else then loses another extra body to be able to absorb the damage, and you're just going to lose players again and again and again. Even before we have something like a Kraken Impact coming on through. But for Sentinels, they can still turn this series around. We've seen Convoy, we've seen Domination. That therefore means that we have to go to Convergence. Which map do you want to take us to, though? Because I feel like Hall of Dejalia, if you want the res comp, would be a good shout, but I don't think they're going to have access to the res comp, so I would try and avoid that map, because that's definitely one of Rad's better.
Yeah, maybe you could do like a strange TP play to open up on something like Symbolic Surface here. Set up like a Punisher turret or something and try and get a crunch going on.
Yeah, true.
But I don't know if they're going to save for Loki first again.
I don't know if
they're going to save for Loki first, you can get some value out of it on Hall of Jalia, where there's a lot of like rooftops where you can put those doppelgangers. But do you want to like fashion your map choice after like the strategist you're saving?
I mean, it is good for Torch, I will say. It is a very good map for Torch, especially like first point on Hall of Dejalia. There is a lot of roof that you can hide if you're on the Eat attack.
Yeah.
So that you can literally just keep up pressure on the opposing high ground that the defenders tend to yeah, very good pathing, very good options. And a lot of these teams too don't really like going for the strange TP immediately. And oh, do you know what? Central Park's actually probably a better shout because that's a much better map for flyers. So.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it worked as the turnaround for Envy.
True, and it's very, very strong for dive components, res components, flyer components. So it definitely feels like of a lot of the compositions that we see in Marvel Rivals, in terms of comps that you have to ban out, is one of the more versatile.
Yeah, this one definitely has a lot of options. We've seen players take advantage of that extra window on the side of point A as well. Some melee characters, maybe someone like we saw Iron Fist from Tanuki,
yes,
which
we
I
did.
still don't approve of. But you know what? It's not my decision. The Black Panther can take that as well.
To get the Harry stamp of approval.
Yeah, this is not like they approve. #1 priority for bans, and like when one got banned, the other would get saved. Not so much the case anymore. Let's get stuck in, Mox. First ban's coming up.
Yeah, I mean, Magneto was definitely a must, especially when Punisher was in place, and Final Judgment did tend to be a reaction check against Meteor M. And Psionic Seduction is an incredibly strong ultimate, both when you're holding space and also trying to take it. As we can see those bans coming in through, and yeah, Sentinels again going to be going after the Mantis. This time though, Rad going to be going after the Torch. So they see Central Park, they know how strong a map it is for flyers, and they're going to be removing that one from play. The Sentinel's going to be removing the Luna Stone and the Mantis, and oh, there we go, not a Loki save this time around. It is going to be a Luna. So potentially things like a Psylocke being able to make it all the way around the side of that point will now be buoyed up by the heal even out of the backline's LOS.
Love this pivot here. Going to see Luna protected. That gradient of Luna going to be met with a Magneto ban here. And it seems like we're pivoting into a Vanguard on slot.
I was going to say, I feel like we talked this into existence. We were just commenting a lack of Vanguard bans, and now it's going to be coming on through. As is it going to be one-sided Magneto into one-sided Emma? Is the script flipped? Because normally, Emma is the one that EMEA prefer, and Magneto is the one that NA prefer.
Absolutely right. I wonder if we see Groot as a final ban as well. Oh no, Loki's gonna. Yeah, you got to avoid the double fate of both worlds. That is just that's a non-starter when it comes to enemy compositions. The last protect here, I would imagine, goes to Cloak and Dagger.
Oh, do you know what they're doing? They're going after Crimzo's hero pool to force him onto the Groot.
Oh, and then they can force out Wolverine as the last ban.
Yeah.
Oh, they're not going to protect Cloak and Dagger. Okay.
Yeah, so now Sentinels have a choice. Do you make Crimzo's life easier, or do you try and take a strategist out of play?
These are the questions, and you can see that there's a little bit of deliberation happening at the moment.
Torch.
They don't want to deal with the uneven Torch. Okay. This is going to mean that Naga's likely going to be over on the Wolverine.
Yep, and that means that Crimzo is definitely going to be having an interesting time of it on the Groot. We'll have to wait and see whether or not that's going to pay off dividends, as it definitely feels like Rad were properly targeting now, taking a page from 100 Thieves' book when it came to trying to deal with Sentinels.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to try and create a 5v6 out of a hero pool. And maybe that's enough to win, but I love a change up here from Sen. I think it's very well considered. Keeping that Luna in, super important. And they've been able to get away scot-free with the Cloak and Dagger, so they can play Envy style. You
know what? Sentinels also finally able to make Mantis through the ban. So maybe we see triple come through. Maybe we get res comp. And maybe that's the answer, so that even if a Wolverine comes through, one, you have poke pressure with an Atom, so Passive should be forced almost immediately, even before he's able to engage onto your team. And you also have Soulborn, so you should be able to survive last stand.
Oh, Soulborn's certainly useful for that. Let's head in to Rad on match point here. North America's #1 seed need to do yet another reverse sweep.
Well, there it is. It is indeed Kurova and Raimazing and Nectar all on the Guardians. They don't have the Magneto though. So no good bubble spin engagement coming on through from Nectar, and Crimson also going to be forced onto the Thing in anticipation of the Wolverine from Rad's end.
All right, on the other side, going to be double usage of the Eternal Bond for Rad. Plenty of staying power. Nectar grabbed out of mid. That is uncanny. Unbelievable play there from Naga. And instantly going to be shot on down here by the Ancestry Charge, shutting down all those movement abilities. Nectar has to res themselves using that Cocoon Revival given over by the Atom. Soon to be gone. They're caught in the corner. This is where the Phoenix is just going to be able to do so much damage, and Crook's pumping it into magic missiles from the hideous staff of Asgard. Manages to rack on through. Crimson's going to be the next to fall. Right, Mason's able to res themselves as well off the back of the Cocoon Revival. survival, but Corova can't stick around for too long either. The resurrection doesn't get too much as Trust Me finds the final hits, and we're halfway already to a capture.
Techie's gonna try. They've got him on the Doctor Strange. We might have a portal recontest. They're through. Nectar's already down. The Strangling Prison manages to catch on to the Vanguards, and they managed to find Corova too.
Oh, it's just that Shrimple right now, and it's just krill everywhere. As Rad gather first with such intent. They still have 4 ultimates.
Yeah, they've got so many ults. There's no one-shots on the side of Sentinels too. Corova is going to be close to a Karmic Revival fight, but you're not quite there yet. So you're still waiting too for some of your players who came a little bit later, which means Rad get all of the estate to move up and take this high ground, which then puts Nectar into reach of the Wolverine, and it deposits them right next to Trust Me on that Groot.
Generational Wolverine gameplay right now being shown by Naga, and still has the last stand in the back. Has already opened up with it. Forces out the burst heal from Amazing. Heads in towards the back. Still gets himself a stun. Clobbering time, I believe stuns 5 there. Huge from Crimzo. But Rad have all the staying power they need thanks to the Eternal Bond. Now it's Melee moving on forward. Guess what? It's Fate with a triple. Oh my goodness. The Dark Force claims them. Introduced to the Dark Dimension, and Fate is quite the welcoming host.
Sentinels will have an invisible boundary, but they're just off of the res comp. They've seen that it's not going to be able to work. Mason's going to be swapping now onto the Phoenix next to the Psylocke. You've got to try and put all of your hopes on holding this off of a really slow heal per second. And Rad have the Eternal Bomb to shut invisible boundary down. If it can even come on through, there it is. But Naga just keeps the rage going. And that Terror Kit means the Sentinels get 0 heals per second.
All right, invisible boundary is already over here. Naga continues to cleave through again and again, caught in place by the Strangling Prison. Naga now with only a little bit of HP remaining. It's the last chance saloon coming through from a Psylocke, and it's going to be a dodge aside right there from the Phoenix, allowing for everyone else to tank the incoming damage. A turnaround onto Amazing. Trust Me, still here trying to battle it on out, and they're going to be sustained here on the side of the defense thanks to the Fate of Both Worlds channeled by Corova. Sentinels hold strong finally.
Yeah, good damage amp as well from Corova, just turning it as Techie's able to find the Carbon Crush into kick onto Rad's players. Fate's onto the Jeff.
Okay.
We're going for, okay, no, speed bubble out to get everyone from spawn a little bit faster. They know that they have an opening right now. Sentinels invested a lot of ultimates in the last fight. They've only got Psionic Seduction. So they're going to go for a map flip to force Techie into having to utilize Psionic Seduction, which Rad can just live through with the God of Mischief coming out immediately.
All right, Eternal Bond ready to go at a moment's notice already. That's going to be a Sonic Seduction. Techie taken down, was a little bit too far forward. The Spore Bomb from Trust Me. Oh, and it's frag after frag being delivered here. And guess what? Level 1 Crook has learned from Fate that aggression sometimes the best way to be the Cloak and Dagger. So far away from the objective are Sentinels. Even if they had surviving members, they wouldn't be able to contest this. 4 minutes for last.
What a map flip from Rad, just forcing Sentinel's hand. They had to keep their armor on objective, otherwise Rad would have got it to second for free. And that meant that Techie was, like you said, a little bit too far forward, within reach of not just the Loki's copied Eternal Bond, but the actual Cloak and Dagger's Terror Cape too. So that Sonic Seduction is up for a matter of seconds, as Rad now have snowball potential. Last stand in place. Sentinels have to know that the Wolverine ultimate is a danger, and they need to clear that top left.
Needs to be cleared, but Rajara right now is demanding attention, rolling on forward, staying in the air. Melia ready to drop down with the Phoenix as everything is taken away in mid-air, and then Naga delivers the final blow to Amazing and Aramori, and the rest is simple, elementary cleanup for the side of Rad. Sentinels are wiped from the board, and they'll get one last chance.
One last chance, potentially. If they win this fight, they can start coming back into this map. Question is, do they have the opportunity? Trust Me's coming back on the cap to come through a little bit faster. Level 1 Crook just getting a little bit of poke to have the God of Mischief. We've got a fastball special on the field. Connect to find a home run.
Nectar takes to the skies, manages to get the Feral Leap exactly when it's needed. No disengage available thanks to the anti-street charge. Nectar has to move away right now. Has the last stand ready to go with the Terror Cape combined. The damage is too much to bear. While Rad may have had momentum on their side, Sentinels had pure force of will on theirs. is.
Rad just throw themselves off of the map to get a little bit faster of a regroup and also prevent Sentinels from staggering them for 30 seconds. Last stand can be combined with Psionic Seduction, but Sentinels would bring their entire ultimate economy. If so, Naga is going to go over to the Winter Soldier, the Bionic Hook, to be able to keep check on both the Phoenix and the Wolverine, as well as just punch through Crimzo with all of the damages from the Rotterstone. And Techie is already down!
Oh, shades of a final fight of second once again. Bionic Hook charged up for a moment. A quick visit to the Dark Force Dimension. Melio has the Phoenix ready to go, and a couple of fully marked players. The prep work is being done for the moment, but at the moment it's all about the pressure going elsewhere. Catching someone out, but goes too far. Gets caught up by Nectar and Crimzo, who melee forth in concert. The Eternal Bond is now the last note for Sentinels to sustain themselves.
The hook! He finds the hook! He doesn't manage to find it though. Aramori is able to keep herself in the Eternal Bond. What a grab! What a cancel!
An attempt to turn it around, but Ryan Mason gets it done in his own right. Fate and Naga both fall, and Sentinels, they have finally found their rhythm. They found their tempo. I don't know if they were rushing or if they were dragging, but right now they are standing firm.
Techie isn't going to overextend this time around, just pushes forward to keep up some of this charge, as well as give Crimzo an opening to get close for the Yancey Street charge to get out. He's got the clobbering time. Level 1 Crook gets hit by it, even through the God of Mischief. They're able to find the copy onto the Cloak and Dagger though, and Rad get the red carpet rolled out. Eternal Bond is safe, as we see another clobbering time.
Melio comes in from above using the Phoenix Strike, unable to find any final hits. However, Rajaro taken off the side by Nectar. Great usage there of the Feral Leap to make sure that there's no recovery available for that Magneto.
Fate's gonna have the actual Eternal Bond. Nectar getting into position to nab someone. They know that Rad, when they run out of time, they lose the luxury of clearing the angles. Trust me on the Captain America is going to divert the attention. Sentinels having to deal with the Captain America frees up the rest of the team to walk forward.
All right, Trust Me continues to take all of this attention, including Nectar's. Do not want to be grabbed off of the side again. You can see Rajaro is so afraid of that. Will it happen again is the question. Seems like Fate's using the Eternal Bond to save everybody here. An attempt at a one-shot Naga, taken down by Aramori's Eternal Bond, and that means no Kraken impact is going to be available. A last chance saloon for Rad. It seemed like they had it in the bag, but Sentinels, they have found it within them to hold strong, and they have found it within them to scare Rad off the point. A 4-minute hold.
Nectar swapping to the Wolverine. Woo. Being able to come on through with those environmentals. The convoy stopped as well in such an awkward position where it's literally just right on that ramp and you have to walk past. So much drop-off potential when Sentinels can just kick you, can wolf nab you. There's so much that Rad have to contest with, but they got it a heck of a long way through Central Park. Can they complete the full hold? What do we see? Because Sentinels, they need this round to continue the series.
Yeah. They need to rescue themselves. Got to dig themselves out of this hole that they put themselves in. And it seems that once again, we're likely to see that Wolverine continue to be an issue. Naga had a generational beginning, but fighting uphill is unideal for a Wolverine when all of your approaches can be marked. Momentum was what Rad needed, and when they managed to fumble one momentum fight, that's all that it took for Sentinels to get back into a dominating position.
Yeah, I mean, Sentinels started off on the res comp, got a little bit burned on it, and I think getting burned on res comp was probably the best thing that happened to them. Because that Wolverine swap was absolutely huge. Do we see them try to go for something? Now that they're on the attack, they could go for a strange teleport with penny mines, but I think they're going to hold off on it just in case they start losing players on the actual brawl fight of the point itself, and they want that strange portal to be able to call in the recontests. As we can see, Rad going to have access to that one too, as Fate is on the jab. He's all the way behind them.
Oh, wow.
Right on their spawn doors. They haven't cleared out any of these dive components. He's going to be hitting in an entirely unexpected position.
Okay, big crunch coming through, but level 1 Crook, what were you doing to be in a position where the Emma could find you so early? Nectar's just been waiting. Nectar was feasting, but Trust was feasting even more. The Feast of the Abyss. It's an all-you-can-eat buffet, and well, Rad, they're digging in.
That is 2 picks with Joyful Splash from Fate's side. By the way, jab strats, they never fail to put a smile on my face. Look at the positioning too right now. They're all the way up on the rooftop. They're going to wait for Sentinels to walk past. Have they cleared the jab? Do they know that he's there? I don't think they do.
I don't know. Take a look at how Fate plays Jeff as well. Such a high APM game, and just make sure there's always something that's being done at all moments. Keep the Vanguard healed up over here. The Phoenix is in deep trouble. Needs to be saved. Rajara does not want to invest their strike for the moment. Instead, just continuing to take up all of this space and just keep Sentinels penned in. They're in a box,
Yeah, and I mean, Sentinels, they try to go into one of those rooms, but the dive couldn't follow them, but the Ultron can still damage. Fate will go down, but Rad still have the ultimates to fall back into. And Melio just has to be careful he doesn't overextend. Jeff's going to be back in a matter of moments, too, with those speed bubbles coming on through. So Sentinels don't even get to push 5v6.
Naga's going to try and open this one up in their own right, force out the Eternal Bond. And now Fate's going to try and eat up all of those who are trying to stick within it, I imagine. It's Jeff, grabs one. That's going to be Valuna. Off the map, I'm sure she'll go, but no, unable to spit them out in time. Instead, she's going to be deposited right where the Jeff fell. Right Amazing just sticks close to Valuna. The safety given over means that it's easy for Right Amazing to chill out and chill max.
Strange Portal's gonna come back though. Fate's on the Doctor Strange. Rad aren't giving up this one, especially with level 1 crook on that Loki. You've got regeneration domain to keep everybody alive through it. But no! He gets picked by Techie!
Oh, level 1 crook going down early could be brutal. And you can see the clobbering time is available to begin with. Rajara has already fallen on down. The fastball special good to go. Get after that Ultron! And indeed they will. What an impact from Nectar combined with Crimzo. Oh, Coach Crimzo setting up everyone else for success. A Feast of the Abyss in the back for all the reward for the pain that was given is even more delivered by Adamantium Claws, sliced and diced into tenderloin steaks of Clintar. Nectar is an absolute menace, a monster that needs to be dealt with. Still, Sentinels have not managed to capture anything here, but they have at least continued to grab these frags all in onto level 1 crook yet again. Fate's nowhere to be seen, and Rad are just being, they're gone, reduced to atoms, Mox.
Yeah, Sentinels, they find the frags late, but they're able to find it onto Starlord, crucially. Naga, so close to Galactic Legend. If he'd been able to hit Galactic Legend before Sentinels had defensives to be able to see it through, Rad might have been able to grab that one back into their control. But Sentinels will be able to pick up first and move forward, claiming possession of that second corner. So now, Rad, they're going to have to organize past the Wolverine into these dive targets. But unfortunately, that leaves them grabbable, and Aramori finds the Jeff.
Okay, 2 frags already found by Rad, though, and it's level 1 crook in the back. Once again on this weird off angle with the Loki. Punished by it thanks to the Sonic Seduction. And hello, we're going to see the investment here of the Rage of Ultron. That's actually going to force out Kurova's own usage of the ultimate. Many players grabbed on out of this one. They want Kurova super bad, but Naga knows it's better. Maybe discretion's the better part of Valor when you've got so little HP against the respawns of Sentinels. Out comes the Galactic Legend. Naga's seen the writing on the wall, knows exactly where to go, forces out the Eternal Bomb. And now for Rad, it's a disengagement game. And, oh, that's scary, Mox.
Oh, Naga's trying not to get staggered. Amazing's chasing, looking for any potential pick. Rad are going to howl. Nectar. He's so clean with those grabs. Rad have an opening too. Fate can come and prove in his Jeff, but crucially you have to worry about Sentinels lacking in defensive. It's the Phoenix not instead. No defensive, just get offensive. The best defense is a good offense, and Sentinels show off in style.
Alright, playing within the regeneration domain was taken away real quick. Once again, Eternal Bomb going to be grabbed on up here by level 1 crook. Sentinels yet to lose a member though, so this is under-resourced if ever I saw it. Rolling on board, they want Aramori super bad, but Crimson delivers the embattled leak to make sure that there's damage reduction. A quick clobbering time here, stuns everyone up, and Aramori's there with the follow-up. Nectar stays above, floats imperiously above it all. 2 players grabbed up here by Fate, should be easy to spit them out. Does not want to spit out Rajara this time, and it's off the edge. No second chances, no resurrections, and no mercy from the Jeff. Still, Sentinels believe it to be winnable. They have 4 players to go with here, and an Eternal Bond as well.
They double strategist ulted! Kurova and Aramori both overlap ult in one fight, and Radno get an opening. Meliu gets entirely undefended Rage of Ultron!
Oh, and Kurova's the first to be a victim of it. Up in the air hangs the Phoenix, but I'm afraid it might already be said and done. So many members of Sentinels have fallen down. 50 seconds remain. They have to call this one early as Trust Me gets corrosive pickup after corrosive pickup.
They're not going to have a defensive for Galactic Legend. There's one more fight properly coming on through. Sentinels have 40 seconds left. They can't even utilize Psionic Seduction to try and open the space. Rad are playing so far forward, they're trying to force Techie so they can just disengage and hold on to ultimate economy of their own. As Fate is just playing havoc. The jump onto the Emma, they're trying to force Sentinels to utilize that one ultimate, and if they don't hold on to it, Naga's just going to go in with his.
Oh, the Galactic Legend doesn't get too much off the back of this one. Could instantly be seduced. Manages to get behind the roof just in time. Techie claims the space on the point. The backline's still under siege. Rad, they're doing everything in their power to try and make sure this backline just continually feels uncomfortable. But Aramori tries to rescue them. In comes it's Jeff. 2 players grab. Rajara needs to be left on the point at the moment. He's going to be able to potentially move over off to the side. He's going to try their best to get down to the crit box. And indeed they will. Level 1 Crook backs off. More members of Sentinels have fallen on down, but Nectar's still here with full charge and a dream. A freedom charge is declared by Rajaro. That's going to be a clobbering time going on to 2. Just move the feast of the abyss in towards the back. The range of Ultron from above. And boy, does he have a great shooting gallery to try and play with. It's Melio all the time. The range of Ultron. It's a siren song in the night. The overtime can't make it through. The body block is good. And Rad have done it. They slain the #1 seed from North America.
Twice now we get to see clutch It's Jeff ultimates coming the night from Fate. This time in part due to level 1 Crook literally ferrying that Jeff with the Luna copied by the God of Mischief. So the Fate of both worlds keeps Fate alive the entire time as he brings 2 crucial members from Sentinel's composition over and off the map so that they can have the numbers advantage, so that they can have the ultimate advantage. And I mean, things fell apart. Sentinels, there was a little bit of miscommunication, it feels, when we saw both the Luna and the Cloak and Dagger use their ultimates at the same time. It really did feel like the writing was on the wall, that Rad knew we might lose this fight, but there's another one afterwards, and we're going to have the better of that one, where we'll be able to win it instead.
When the bright light shine in your face, Mox, mistakes are bound to happen. Despite playing together for so long on this Sentinels team, only Crimzo really has that long-term LAN experience. Everyone else is fairly new to LAN itself, despite their previous accomplishments. And when you're the #1 seed, when you got a big org like Sentinels behind you, when you got your CEO in the crowd, the pressure starts to build.
And I mean, everyone's looking at you too, is the thing for Sentinels. Like, everyone looked at Virtus Pro in EMEA, so everyone started counter-stratting them, and we can kind of see something similar has developed here, where I think a lot of people were coming into this thinking Sentinels are going to be the team to beat, so they worked incredibly hard to be able to look at how Sentinels played, the compositions that they played, and how they would be able to target them both in maps and out of them.
Yeah, still Sentinels run isn't over. We are in double elimination, so it's the lower bracket for them alongside Citadel, but a moment to celebrate Rad right here. What a performance. Coming out second from our play-ins after getting pretty thoroughly trounced by Envy. I mean, it could have gone either way. The whole of Jolly was bloody close. But Rad, they really look like themselves today. Their strategies have really come into their own.
I mean, fade on that, Jeff. I wish we could listen to comms on Central Park, just when Fate's behind their spawn. Yeah. It's like, hey guys, I've got eyes on you. just go
I'm harassing. I'm harassing.
Like, it's insane. And they punished as well. Sentinels are known for holding their ultimates. Yeah. Like, they're very, very good at holding their strategist ultimates, not having them forced. And it feels like Rad banked on that. Because a lot of the time when they knew that Sentinels would be holding onto an ultimate, like Psionic Seduction, right, in one of those later fights where we're on second and it's like, okay, they're going to be trying to force out that Psionic Seduction. If Psionic Seduction comes on through, they're going to disengage. And then they go into that game of Ultimate Chicken, they see that Techie's not going to rise to it, and they're like, if you're not going to ultimate, we're going to ult, we'll use Galactic Legend, we'll get a pick, then you're going to be forced to use your ultimate so that you stop any momentum that we're taking, and then we can disengage. And that's exactly what ended up happening, and they had such a good read of when Sentinels would be forced to invest something, when unfortunately by holding onto it a little bit longer than they could have desired, they already lost the fight.
Yeah, you know what? To continue shouting out Fate, no teammates spit off the map today. Don't have to hear Miller go, no, Fate, spit me out, no, not there, Fate, no!
Yeah, it is very, I find it so ironic that Adam Warlock, like one of the most canonically mobile characters in the comics, it's probably one of the least mobile in the game, but they had to find a way to keep him balanced somehow.
Yeah, he's just having a good jog around, he's getting his steps in. You know? Got to keep fit in this world of Marvel Rivals. How are you going to stop Doom? How are you going to stop Null if you can't get your steps in? Like, you got to be training all the time to stay in peak physical condition. It seems that whatever notes were gathered yesterday in the tape on Rad are not enough to hamstring this team. They have so much variety in their comps, and trust me, is a huge part of that, being able to play the Venom and the Captain America at equal levels of proficiency and be so dangerous on both.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw as well that there was, you know, Citadel tried to go in with that Venom, didn't work out. The difference is, it feels like when Rad were going with the Venom, they timed everything. They were like properly syncing it. And also, it was never Venom goes first, it was always Jeff goes first. It's just a funny little guy in your back line playing from a really annoying angle for you to have to deal with. And he takes, oh my goodness, can we see it? We do get it. We get 15,000 damage coming up from
God,
Fatal
basically
Jeff.
16,000. He's 47 short.
And 27,000 healing.
12 final hits?
Yeah.
Bro, that's disgusting.
It is incredibly funny that his primary is called Joyful Splash, because I think Sentinels were anything but after that map. I wonder how far it's going to go before we see a Jeff ban come
Sadly
out
showered.
as well.
I mean, some teams might want to ban the Jeff. I know Reject hate playing against it.
Yeah.
It's going to be level 1 Crook walking away with the MVP on the Loki, however. Level 1 Crook, such a high output player, 35k when it comes to healing in this one, but it wasn't particularly long due to the hold on second, 60% accuracy. And you know what? Helping out in a lot of these KOs as well. 41 assists.
Yes, very, very strong Loki player, very, very strong Mantis player. And I think that's something else. Like, you talked about it, right? Rad, very, very flexible all across the board. If you try and ban them out of one particular hero, they fall back onto something else. And I think we really got to see that Rad played Sentinels. They took out the Vanguard, the strategy that we talked about, that 100 Thieves had actually employed against Sentinels in the past, which had problems for Sentinels to deal with. And we can see that Rad anticipated that they would be able to take advantage of that same weakness. So I think that's one that Sentinels are definitely going to have to try and brush up on before they go up against some of those other teams.
Yeah, let's have a look at our highlights now from this map. We really saw what Sentinels could achieve on third point, but unfortunately couldn't quite find the same value on their own attack of second. But it took them so long to break through like a very tilty spawn hold, because like the Jeff is such a distractionary feature in the backline as well, and it can also force someone to like try and overextend to try and fight with Jeff. You're like, yeah, I can take Jeff in a duel. Yeah, but what you don't know is that there's like a Captain America and there's a Venom who will wait like, yeah, bring him in.
Yeah, and I mean, they had a really good read of first fight, right? Sentinels, where, like you said, level 1 Crook gets picked in a position never should have been, but they do the correct thing where they see that there's a Jeff and a Venom behind, and they know if they leave their backline behind, they're going to be split. So the backline tries to run to the front line, and they just try and walk onto Rad's players, because if they're all in the backline, no one's guarding the front line, or rather their own backline, so Loki becomes incredibly vulnerable. And it worked for that first pick, but Rad were just able to hold on to that space, box Sentinels into a really uncomfortable position where they're just stuck in a very small room having to wait out. They're safe from the Venom Dive in that space, not safe from the Ultron, which means that Rage of Ultron gets generated incredibly quickly and Rad are able to land on their feet.
True. And you know what? The one thing we don't talk about with Jeff is that when you fall to Edge Jeff, it's incredibly tilting.
Yeah.
Like, the psychic damage you take is equal to the physical damage.
Yeah, because you're just like stuck in there and you're like, surely my team are going to be able to take him down before he finds the edge. No. Okay.
Nope. Awesome. Cool. Thanks, guys. Great stuff.
Because then, like, target focus also becomes a whole topic of dissent, where everyone's like, who was shooting the shark? Were you the shark? I was shooting the shark. I swear I was shooting the shark.
I was inside the shark. It can't be me, bro. It can't be me. I'm in there.
Yeah, we might need to get an X-ray on some of the contents of Jeff's stomach. Did you know that canonically he's actually eaten the Infinity Gauntlet?
Really?
Yes.
I wonder what flavor it is. Umami.
Yeah, there's actually a version of Jeff where he got into the Collector's Collection, and he had a whole bunch of wonderful goodies, one of which being the Infinity Gauntlet. So Jeff has nom nom nom.
So he eventually had some Infinity intestines, you know?
Maybe that was what was missing in Infinity War. If they'd had Jeff the Land Shark to just
What you don't want to see is what comes after that meal. We won't discuss that on stream.
True. But now we have to talk about the fact that it's one apiece. NA has won, EMEA has won.
Yes, but NA still have one team yet to show themselves. 100 Thieves are going to be going up, I believe, against Rejects?
OUG.
Oh, yes, OUG. Yeah, they're going to be going up against the hometown heroes of Over Ultra Gaming. So there's definitely going to be a crowd here that wants OUG to win, and a lot of people in the Twitch chat, from what I've seen previously, who want 100 Thieves to dominate.
Yeah, I mean, we're probably going to be seeing a very similar ban strategy as well coming up against OUG. They love res comp, they also love Human Torch comps, so likely Johnny is going to be yet again sent packing in terms of those draft systems coming on out. But if you're Sentinels, I think you've got some really good like tape to go back and watch. They had some, like you said, amazing fight coordinations. There were also moments where the coordination was a little bit not quite desynced fully, but definitely cracks in the surface. And I mean, that's what dive does. Yeah. Right? It pressures your backline. It forces you into thinking, do I need to commit this resource? And if you get that wrong, if you try and make that immediate judgment and you get it wrong, then that plays in the back of your head and you then trying to overcompensate every time afterwards. And I think we saw a little bit of that coming on through too. Yeah, like that just replays in your mind like, what could I have done differently? Yeah. How could I have saved this? Honestly, I want to give Melio his flowers as well. Yeah. Moving over onto the Ultron occasionally, like I think that Melio got a lot out of the Encephalo Ray, really proving himself to be quite lethal on the Ultron. And the Phoenix too. He took to the Phoenix like a duck to water, fittingly enough, or I guess a bird to flames. Because like if you've seen the animation cancels that you can do on Phoenix, Melio was like one of the first people who really found out the depths of play that you could go to onto the Phoenix, how quickly you could build up those ultimates and that spark generation, and he just looks insane on the character. And he's always been a very sought after duelist. Whenever we have roster mania in EMEA, one of the names I always hear floating around that a lot of teams want to be able to pick up is Melio. Yeah. So it really is no surprise that he was the standout today. It feels like Melio's finally found a home. He was a mercenary for a while. I think he was on Fnatic for a while. Hovered around with some of the OG guys. Yes. But eventually Melio found a home on what was Team 1, Luminosity before that. Yes. And now Rad, this team has really been through a lot together. They've always got on second place. No matter who they're up against, whether it's Boba or Virtus Pro, they've always managed to be the second best team. But here in Guangzhou, the biggest LAN yet, the biggest cup yet, the biggest prize yet for Marvel Rivals Esports, they could have a chance at first. I mean, biggest likes as well. True. I've been flashbanged. Yeah, we both have been flashbanged. We love our stage, though. Yeah. We love our stage. We love our set. We are so incredibly happy and grateful to NetEase for putting on this wonderful production and having us and also all of the teams over here, because getting to see all of the different regions immediately interact so that we can finally once and for all say, this is the best meta. Like, especially with Rivals being as diverse as it is and flexible in terms of everything's viable. It's great to see. All right, let's head down to the stage for an interview we got ready with, I believe, level 1 Crook.
One Crook, they just had a
shout out to Moxie.
Thanks, Rad. Love you.
Cool. She read a Citadel too. What are they saying that to me for?
I mean, I talk to the players.
Fine.
You gotta do the laps before